you reverb it so that you can get on camera? Thank you.
Okay, live. Sorry about this, guys. The lads set up one, which is making it a bit more awkward. Spots, yeah. Great broadcast. Cool. Join live and get. Alright, sticking this to intro now, guys.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Friday night's bulletin edition of This Is Ibrox, where we'll look a wee bit back on the Hearts game, talk a wee bit about the finances, and look ahead to the Morelos game against St Mirren in Paisley. Tonight, I'm joined on the pod by Dylan. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Glad to be on, and boy, like most supporters, I'm kind of glad for the World Cup break coming up. So, yeah, just one more game to go, and then we can just sort of rest up for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think we're all thinking that. And Stephen, how's things with you on the sunnier side of the world?
Aye, all good, mate. No complaints. Just like Dan says, mate, I've never looked forward to a World Cup so much in my life.
Definitely. Definitely. I guess the first thing we could touch on then, talking about the World Cup, is Dylan Bornos, our only player that's going to be at the World Cup, with Tillman, Sands and Cholak missing out. You disappointed that there's not going to be more of a Rangers for the players in amongst the squads?
Sorry.
No, go on, Stephen, sorry.
I thought he was talking to me this. I was surprised. Normally you do get a wee handful of players and keeps the World Cup interesting, especially this World Cup. It's much maligned, this World Cup, isn't it? So I was looking for a few extra reasons to watch it, but I don't even fancy Barnett to be playing anyway. I think he'll be on the bench, so it's not really looking good, is it?
No. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, just to kind of echo Stephen's point, I'm not really looking forward to this World Cup as much in the past. Usually, kind of when I've been growing up, we see some Rangers players in the squads, albeit not like the top teams, but at least kind of like in the mid-rank countries. It's good to have Borna go to the World Cup. I think obviously that'll be kind of like his dream growing up, to play for his country on the world stage. But I don't think he'll probably start most games, to be honest. I think he'll probably be more of a backup, but it's good to see him. But it's quite gutting to see lads such as Tillman and Sands, and even like McDonald and Cholak missing it. But again, hopefully he can sort of take that disappointment and hopefully it benefits us, because I think they'll hopefully have a point to prove.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But I was sort of on the fence whether I was going to be USA or Croatia fan during the World Cup, but that's been sorted. I'll be in my red and white Croatia for the World Cup. But needless to say, we better get our own domestic business out of the way first. Got the game on Wednesday night. It seems to forever ago now. I've got to be honest and say I was really not looking forward to it, and I ended up going to Fox Bar. One of the people that have been on the pod, his owner Michael, has brilliant chicken on the front gate, and I've got to be honest and say that was a highlight of my whole evening. This is probably the only thing I was looking forward to. I was speaking to Andy at the game and things like that, and it was filled with trepidation. Looking back now, Stephen, at the 90 minutes that played out, what's your reflections on it?
For the first half was much the same as what I've been watching. Lethargic, going through emotions, just predictable. This team are just going from game to game. They just like they're on borrowed time. The manager's on borrowed time. It's quite a depressing watch. Then the second half, they gave us a bit more. I don't know if they had a rocket at half time. He was a bit more. Kent looked livelier. But again, I don't think I was overly impressed in the second half either. I think it was just a reflection of how bad the first half was. That slightly more effort, and it was shown in the second half. You would call it the tails were up a bit, but I think overall it was all right. I mean, I'll be honest, shock, I couldn't even see his scoring. I didn't know where it was going to come from. So when it did come, when it did come, I didn't fancy keeping a clean sheet anyway, because you know how vulnerable we are. We seem to be a team who can't score, and then the other team just gets one set piece, one corner, one free kick swung into that box, and there's a mass confusion. Confidence is low, and I was expecting a Hearts equaliser anyway, which they almost nearly got through Andy Halliday. I wasn't impressed, but it was just at this point, two games. At that point, it was 2 games before the World Cup. At that point, they're just looking for any sort of win. Well, what's with falling over the line now, man? It's all about falling over the line and resetting at a World Cup, and just praying to the high heavens that they came up back for the World Cup and are just 20% better at least, you know.
Yeah, we've got the hope, certainly. And Dylan, I mean, it was a game, as Stephen said, it was low on quality, but one highlight was the goal we scored. Kid shown us what he is capable of, that we want to see more of. Great pick up by World Cup star Borna, and Dylan there to slide it home. Anything else impression that game, or was that about it?
No, I mean, obviously that's kind of the only highlight, because I think we've been quite critical of getting this season. I think he's just been quite inconsistent. I think that moment in Magic just sort of shows the quality that he has. He was able to sort of drag the defenders with him, open the kind of space up for Barris, just going to cross that in for Tillman. So it was actually quite a well worked goal, considering the form that we're in right now. But to be honest, it was just important to get that win, because I wasn't at the game on Wednesday, but I can only imagine what it would have been like if we dropped even more points and even dropped further behind Celtic in the week. So yeah, it was very tough to watch, but I think not only are we caught, but I think Gio would be the most happiest just to get it over the line, and only one more game to go, and then he can just sort of like go back to basics and just try to work out how to pick up form after the World Cup break.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting going forward with the AGM coming up now. It was announced. I think the problem we've got at Rangers right now is that there's almost a sense of apathy about the place. It's just that don't really care kind of thing. It's like folk have written the league off already. Europe's obviously gone, and we've got the 2 cups to play for. But I think something's going to have to happen to really reinvigorate the fan base and get us going again. But speaking of the board and the AGM, we released the figures this week, which I would say were all right. Probably what we were expecting. We repaid loans and we made a profit, small profit, but all in all, I felt the figures were okay. I guess I'm going to say they're fantastic. Well, and I wasn't really surprised. Did you see it that way yourself, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, it's positive, because I think we don't have to tell the wider Rangers support how important finance is, especially within the last 10 years. And I know we like to be critical of the board, and rightly so, both on and off the field. But I think you can take a wee positivity from the accounts, and that we're going the right direction. We are making a profit, and I think it's important to note that the accounts didn't even include Champions League money, the sales of Torribo and Calvin Bassey. So hopefully this time next year we'll be talking about an even bigger profit margin. But it's good to see that we've got like record revenues this year. So whilst we sort of bemoan the board for the lack of investment in the playing squad, at least we can say that we are financially sound.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and it's that we're not a going concern anymore as well, which was fantastic. I don't know, I was watching our very own Tommy for the podcast, the football guru, finance guru at the mall, Kieran Maguire. He's absolutely superb, and he makes complicated numbers seem simple for the likes of me. And Stephen, Kieran Maguire's positive on the figures, and kit sales was something he was very positive about, and he'd heard rumours from other sources that sold 22 million kits, which is phenomenal numbers. But I'm guessing, having made a small profit, and like Dylan says, that's not including our Rebo money, the Barcy money, the Champions League money. I'm guessing you're going to want to see the squad strengthened a bit in January. Is that what you're wanting?
I think that's what we're all wanting. I think that's what it needs. Sure, what we're talking in terms of strengthening is like, are we talking a couple of million on one player? Are we talking a few million on a couple of players? Or a couple of solid loan players? Something, there's an injection or something needs to go into this team, because it just seems to be on its knees. It's so stale. The mood in the camp, I'd imagine, isn't great either. It can't be easy. Getting pelters off the fans every week, getting booed off and stuff like that, and the controversy surrounding the manager's future as well. It's I think we needed these accounts to look good, because if this came out and the accounts were in bad nick and there was a few question marks here and there, that was the last thing that this board needed. So when the accounts came out, I was a bit like you, Chuck. I mean, I'm not, listen, it's not something that I would say is my forte, looking at these things, and I don't pretend it to be either. But when it came out, I made a point of trying to understand it better than I normally do any other season. And I was a bit like you. I thought it was all right. I thought when you consider the Barcy or Rebo, the Champions League money that's in there, it was almost like when you used to get paid and all your direct debits would come out the next day, you get wiped. But at least all your debt was paid, and the next bit of money came in was yours. So I think it's a step in the right direction, especially for being self-sustainable. It's going to be. I'm already looking forward to seeing next year's accounts, of course. But like I said, like you, mate, I thought it was I was trying to be the kind of glass half full. I was on social media, and a lot of people just love to moan anyway, especially in this current climate with this Rangers board. I think a lot of people had the knives out, waiting to put the boot in further to this board. But I thought I was fairly satisfied myself.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one bit positive from the club in the last couple of months, is that we are financially, we're in a good spot. And like I say, hopefully that'll lead towards us being able to strengthen the squad. And you say it's needing strengthening in January. There's going to be a whole big turnover come the end of the season, with the amount of players either out of contract or very near the end of their career, or injuries are going to negate them. So we're going to have to spend money. So hopefully we can get that started in January anyway. Whether Gio's here or not, we'll wait and see. But I guess the only other thing is it's remembrance. It's 11th today, and Dylan, again, the club put on an absolutely superb display before the Hearts game, and absolutely impeccably followed as per. I guess it's no real surprise now that we're doing so well.
Yeah, I think probably displays are probably one of the best I've seen in recent years. Quite jealous to not be at the game just for that, because I think that probably would have been the highlight, was just the default that was unveiled. And Rangers have always, I think, go above and beyond to pay their respects, whether it's unfurling banners like that or inviting those from the armed forces to the game, and then getting them to do like a lap of honour type thing. So, a club like no other when it comes to Remembrance Day, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's always a somber occasion, start of March, and it makes you lucky to realise why we're here and we're able to go to Ibrox. And as much as we like moaning, there's people that have given far more than us to allow us our chance to moan about it. So yeah, again, I'm becoming the board man. I think just now I'm back to the board with things. But the Union Bears and everyone involved in the club, it was a brilliant mark of respect again this season. But let's get rid of the sort of joys, upbeat stuff, Stephen. we're going to St Mirren tomorrow. A lovely part of the world. Lovely part of the world. Sure, it's a highlight of people's trips when they come to Scotland. They can't wait to get to whatever it's called, Sneaker Park or whatever they're calling it these days. Still Love Street in my mind. I know it's not in the same place, but for some reason, Love Street and St Mirren always go together. Gio had his press conference today. Andy Cholak is out until after the World Cup, which doesn't sound as bad anymore. It just seems to be the tagline to every injury, but thankfully the World Cup is actually happening now, because it was goals now until after the World Cup. Now it's 2 months out or whatever, so Cholak's going to miss the game tomorrow. I'm guessing after watching him on Wednesday night, he looked like a player that had just been told he wasn't going to the World Cup. In my mind, when I was watching the game, he didn't put on the sort of performance that he had been putting in. Morelos came on, still doesn't look fully fit, but has he ever? Are you actually happy that Morelos is probably going to get a stop tomorrow?
When I first knew that Cholak was out, I was actually a bit disappointed. That shows you how far we've come, because we used to pine after Morelos all the time, didn't we? When you realise that Cholak is out, and I know his last few games he's not scored, but I think we can cut some slack. He was never just going to keep scoring every game throughout the season. It never works that way. There's always going to be spells. But I do like the big man, not just because he's goal scorer. I just think his attitude's right. And while he might not have had his best game in the last couple of games, I don't think anybody could fault him for effort. I think that's one thing he'd never be able to fault him for. And his body language and stuff like that, I think he's always on point. Not the same could be said for Morelos. Unfortunately, anymore, I says in the last pod, I think this is, for me, this should be the end for Morelos this season. Regardless, I think it's time. I think there's a lot of these players have reached the end of the cycle. I think we've got the best out of Morelos. I don't think we can complain for £1 million for everything that he's gave us. But I just think, for both parties, Rangers and Morelos, I think they've almost had enough of each other, and just sometimes you just need to move on. I think this might be the end of Morelos, but I don't suppose he's a bad backup when Cholak is injured. I don't think when he's in the mood, Morelos, he's unplayable, but we've just not seen that in a while. And I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt with the fact that okay, he's not been playing, he's just been substitute appearances here and there. He's come back for a big injury, but we've got one game to go for the World Cup. Obviously, Cholak is injured. We need him to step up. If he wants to prove it, a lot of doubters wrong about his attitude and all the kind of negative stuff we've been hearing about him, he needs to step up more and he needs to get his other line and get his 3 points for us. We can't have another lethargic kind of, I don't know what else you would call it, but mundane, just about going through the motions. We can't have one tomorrow's a massive game, and it's not going to be an easy game either. So I think Morelos really needs to step up. I'm listening along with about 6 or 7 others, to be honest, maybe more. They all need to step up, but I think all eyes are going to go on Morelos more, and hopefully he can do the business.
Yeah, fingers crossed. He likes playing against big defenders, and Dylan tomorrow, it's Stephen Robinson. I think we've known Stephen Robinson for long enough. What we're going to get from the St Mirren team, we're going to be big, top up for it. It might be the game for Morelos. Could possibly be Stephen Robinson's last game in charge at St Mirren. Seen him linked with Luton this week after Nathan Jones left them for Southampton, and it seems to go full circle. But so what I'm going to say was the last time we went to St Mirren, a man called Kim Roof got a hat trick, and a man now applying his trade at Southampton, Joe Aribo, got the other in that game. So tomorrow, are you looking for a big performance, or will you just be happy with another 1-0 win?
Yeah, I think in my mind, in my heart, I want a big performance just so that it sort of ends this part of the season on a positive note, and then we can sort of like build on that for when we're back from the World Cup. But do I think that'll happen? Probably not, just because I think we have been that bad way out of form that I just don't see us sort of switching it on in the last game. But don't get me wrong, I'll be happy with this a win. But obviously, if we get a performance, then it will at least be reassuring to us. I think it'll be definitely reassuring to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, because I think if he drops points, then I think more questions will be asked. And I think then there'll be pressure on the board to act one way or other, whether to part company with him or to sort of double down and say that he is our man and we're going to try and back him as much as we can. But yeah, as kind of Stephen said, not only does Alfie need a performance, but the whole team. So hopefully they can sort of show us what they're capable of. But my expectation more is it might just be kind of like another boring 1-0 or 2-0 win.
Yeah, well, we're first up lunchtime, so don't ruin my weekend, Rangers. Also, on a positive note, Stephen, coming out of the press conference was Ryan Jack is going to be involved in the squad tomorrow. Do you think we've missed Jack?
Ryan Jack for a few years ago, maybe. I don't expect Ryan Jack. I don't expect Ryan Jack to stay fit past Christmas. I reckon he'll be on the sidelines again very soon. Sorry, to be quite negative and morbid, but it's the same with Kevin Roof. And when he comes back, you just think we'll get 2 games out of him, and then it'll be some sort of complication with one of his injuries. He's gone again. I'm a big fan of Ryan Jack. I've been since he signed. I think he's a good player. And I know there was a bit of discussion in the group chat today about Ryan Jack, but there's something about him this last season. I don't know what it is. I suppose you can kind of win about a handful of other players as well, and about how they just don't look the same. And I don't know if it's the manager, I don't know if it's the coaching, I don't know, but they just don't seem themselves. I'm happy to have him back in terms of gives us a different option at least, because we're really down to the bare bones. The team could almost back itself, what you said earlier. But so in that aspect, I'm happy to see him back. But that doesn't really go much further past that. To be honest, Shug, I just hope that he can stay fit, and then if he can stay fit, he can build a bit of momentum and get something else in midfield and find a bit of form, then great. But I just don't see anything, Shug. I don't know. I think, like I said in Morelos, there's players that reach the end of their cycles and stuff. And I think, unfortunately for Ryan Jack, I think with his injury record, that he's another one who, let's be honest, if he wants to stay at Rangers between now and the end of the season, he needs to get his sleeves rolled up, and he needs to gauge something, he needs to show us something, fitness wise and just for his form as well. So with that in mind, I'd like to think he's thinking about that. But another thing that annoys me with Ryan Jack is this, his social media. You probably know what I'm going to say. It's just, I don't know if he's a Rangers player, he's a Call of Duty player, man. It's just, it irks me, that kind of stuff, mate. It's, even after disappointing results, he's banging on his social media about how he's got online and social media catching at this time and this thing. I can get a rest, man. I mean, we're 7 points behind in November. We're having to look at players put this, and it's just totally changed days, isn't it? I'm going to sound like an all morning guy here, but it's just totally changed days for a few years ago. I can imagine the players doing this years ago. It just, I don't know. To answer your question again, Shug, I'm happy to see him back for squad options, but I'm just hoping to see a different Ryan Jack for his form.
Yeah, hopefully, probably said that a million times before, but hopefully this can be the turning point for him in terms of his injuries. I don't see Ryan Jack wanting to go elsewhere. I don't think somebody will need to rush and try and go on a contract what other clubs could speak to him. But he has got the next 5 months to prove his fitness more than anything, because we all know ability-wise, he sits in there. And sure, there was a stat that we didn't concede a goal for don't know how many games when Ryan Jack was playing in the midfield. I think it was the same stat, and I think it was at the same time Philip Olander as well. Having one clean sheet nowadays. So we're going some. Other than that, there's not really much added to the squad. I'm guessing that you're pretty much going to be the same back five that played against Hearts in midweek. McGregor, Tav, Barisic, with Davis and King in the centre.
Yeah, I think that'll be kind of like the defence there. Whether or not we're happy with that, that's another thing. Although McGregor has been sort of serviceable this season, I still think he's probably past his best, if I were to be brutally honest. And I think even the bigger issue is that you wouldn't. I don't think supporters sort of trust McLaughlin in goals following the Celtic and Ajax game. Just for whatever reason, Roy McCrory is just not getting a chance, whether it's just the coaching staff think he's not ready or they just don't want to fling him in when the team's not performing well. But again, it's serviceable. We know that Davernier's kind of been struggling before him. Whether that's just sort of confidence following tankings in Champions League against Celtic, or is the fact that he's carrying an injury and sort of similar to McGregor, there's not really anyone that can sort of step up and cover for him for a period of time, so he kind of has his shoulder on in that respect. But yeah, as you said, Saga, that's kind of like the back five I'm expecting. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would have the likes of Goldson back in, or even a John Shooter. But yeah, but at the end of the day, I think I still expect that back five to still do a good job against St Mirren.
Yeah, I guess the one place, Stephen, where we maybe have got a couple of options now is in midfield, and by a couple of options, I literally mean a couple. We've got Glenn Kamara, who's, I don't know if he's fully fit and available since he's come off the bench last couple of games. And obviously, as we mentioned, Ryan Jack's back in the squad. And then obviously Scotty Arfield come on in midweek after James Sands off injured again. Do you see any change to the midfield if Sands is fit? Do we start again with Sands, Lundstrom and Tillman as the midfield three?
If Sands is fit, then I think I would expect you to play him. I don't think, and I'm missing this is based on absolutely nothing, but I don't have any solace in it that bad. There's something with Gio and Kamara, and it just doesn't really look as if, I don't know, they're having each other. I don't know what. I'm surprised we don't see Kamara more often. I know he was injured a wee bit back, but even before that, and even last season as well, if I remember right, somebody may correct me. I don't think Kamara was his mainstay there either. And I would like to see Kamara, because I know he is a good player. Again, he's another one who's dipped like everybody else in this squad. But I wouldn't mind seeing Kamara in this midfield, and then maybe against James Sands the rest. But if, like you say, so if Sands is fit, then I thought I'd expect Gio to put him in. Ryan Jack, I would expect him on the bench. I would expect him to come in and start. Not a game before the World Cup. It doesn't really make sense because he's going to get a break. But then again, he's going away with Scotland, didn't he? We just seen the Scotland squad announced the other day. I could be wrong here, Sugar. I think Celtic took some of their players up. Is that right? They requested some of the.
They were
right?
players. They were players for them. And we're allowing Ryan Jack to go play in friendly. One thing you did bring up this press up today and say that it's an opportunity for Ryan Jack to find fitness.
It's also an opportunity for him to get injured, Chuck, as well.
I know that. I fully know that. But
I don't think with the state of the squad, I think with the state of the squad is in particular midfield, I don't think we should be doing Scotland any favours either. And I wouldn't mind Ryan Jack if one time he actually held his hand up and said, you know what, leaving you at this time. I really need to concentrate on Rangers because I've got a contract that's running out in 5-6 months, and he knows where his bread's buttered. You know, but I don't understand. And you look at us, you look at them, what they're doing with their players. And I thought, you know, I just feel that Rangers are a bit of a walkover at times, and they're too soft. And I wouldn't mind seeing a wee bit of snidiness like that come out us now and again once in a while. I think it stands us in good stead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I say, Gio seems to be all right with it. We've all been talking about Football Manager this week. I think that's been 90% of the chat for Football Manager. And we know when it comes up and players are going international duties, friendlies, and you can select he's only to play 30 minutes. I imagine Rangers' medical team will have spoken to Scotland and said if Brian Jack is involved, he's only to play X number of minutes. I would certainly hope that's what's happening. But a chance to find his fitness is the only straw I'm grasping to with it. It's a friendly, so we don't. It doesn't really matter if he plays 1 minute or 10 minutes or whatever, as long as it's something within what the club want, what Rangers want, rather than what Scotland want. Do you see any changes for that, Dylan, in the midfield, or do you think the same just Sands if he's fit, Lundstrom and Tillman again?
Yeah, I don't really expect much change in that regard. Obviously, Clint Kamara on his day would be one of the first names on the team sheet. We all know the quality, but this, for whatever reason, since Jules came in, he's not really got the best out of Kamara. I think there's a period of time where he sort of played him sort of higher up the pitch, in kind of like an advanced playmaker type role. But I know he sort of plays that for the national team, but it just doesn't suit him in domestic level for whatever reason, whether it's just maybe lack of physicality or such. But yeah, and Sands, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he's been ripping it up. I think he's just been fine over the last few weeks. But I sort of see that Gio sort of trusts him a bit more than most other players. So yeah, that would be it. And then hopefully sort of Tillman as well can sort of like kick on from Wednesday night. I know Rangers fans have been moaning about him, and I sort of get criticism, but I think you've got to remember that he is only 20 years old. I think he only played something like 5 senior games so far, and I was at Bayern Munich, which obviously is still a big club, but in terms of his development, he's still kind of like at the start. So, but hopefully he'll sort of kick on, sort of provide a creative spark through the middle, because I think him at the wings just doesn't help him. He's not a winger. I think he just plays better through the middle. So hopefully he can sort of go up the park a bit more, and then he sort of have Sands and Lundstrom sort of covering back. So yeah, I don't really expect any changes in midfield in that regard.
No, I'm going to say Morelos up front, Kent on the left. I'm going to say Scott Wright's going to play on the right-hand side. He's both in agreement with that after midweek.
Yeah, that's what I had. Scott Wright.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, I was going to say I think Gio just sort of like Scott Wright. I don't know whether it's just his personality or if he's probably one of the best trainers in the club. But he always sort of turns to Scott Wright every now and again. Obviously, the only other option on the right wing at the moment is Madondo, and listen, it's early days, but he's not really impressed the vast majority of fans. So yeah, I'll probably go for Scott Wright, and hopefully he can sort of lay stake to that position, but just need to wait and see.
Yeah, it's my one. I was going to say my one criticism, Scott Wright. Shocking and lost. Scott Wright's got a bit of the Scotty Arfields about him. Doesn't seem to do anything when he stops. If he comes off the bench, he seems to change a game.
Mm-hmm.
To be one of the best players when he's coming off a bench. Definitely more an impact player rather than a starting 11 player, which is it's so frustrating. It's why can you not do that? But yeah, I think that's 11. I would be very shocked if there's anything outside of that. There might be, I don't know, hopefully there'll be a couple of youngsters on the bench. Alex Lowry, I don't know what's happening. He didn't play well in midweek, apparently, for the B team.
Mm-hmm.
But he did get 90 minutes in, so hopefully he's on his way back to some sort of fitness, because it's another one when we're missing 9 players. We don't even count Lowry. And it's I think that's madness, because they count Naldi off the ball, but then they don't count Lowry, and I would say Lowry's been more missed than off the ball. Hopefully he'll get well at some point as well. But come to you first, Dylan. What's your score for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think sort of alluded to it earlier on when you asked me what I expect. I think it'll sort of maybe be a tough watch. I'll be pleasantly surprised if we do put in a good performance, but I think I'll just sort of go for a 2-0 win. I do sort of fancy us to keep a clean sheet and build on that from Wednesday night. But I don't expect it to be sort of prime Rangers playing. So yeah, I'll go for a 2-0, and hopefully Alfie gets both goals.
Fingers crossed. And Stephen, well, last 2 results against St Mirren have both been 4-0s. What are you thinking for this?
Somehow shocked I don't see another 4-0. I was going to go for the ugliest of ugly 1-0s, but then I've obviously realised that it requires a clean sheet, and I'm not confident in a clean sheet either. So I'll go for 2-1. I don't expect the performance to be flash, but to be honest, I don't really care. just get the 3 points, get to this World Cup.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with you, Stephen, and say 2-1. Considering the last time the back-to-back games with Hearts were 5-0 and 4-0, and then a scrappy 1-0. So we'll go 4-0, 4-0, and we'll go scrappy 2-1. Can't get 2 cheats in a row. It's long gone since the 55 season when we kept a ridiculous number of clean sheets. But thanks for joining me tonight, Stephen and Dylan. Pleasure having you as always. And Dave on the keyboard, keeping everything running behind the scenes. Looking back on this as Ibrox, as I was talking about during the pod with Tommy, the editor, the chief, the boss, was speaking to the main man, Kieran Maguire. So for the total reaction and all the news that you need from the accounts, that's definitely one place to go and look. It made it even simple for me, so I would definitely point you in that direction. At the weekend, we've got Scott, Tommy again, and Saf were in-house financial expert. They are all on Sunday for the route back on the game tomorrow. Hopefully our Rangers win, and last pod before the World Cup. During the World Cup, we'll be running a few pods and things to keep things informed. And we've got our online website to go and check. There's been plenty of articles and things put up there, so keep in touch and let us know if there's anything you want to see. But in the meantime, thanks, chaps, and hopefully our weekend won't be ruined at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Cheers all. Bye.
Thank you.